Indeed, Miao Ying, Castellan of the Great Bastion, must hold a tireless vigil, her armies forever at war, lest the bastion be breached and all Cathay fall to chaos. RuinusInsight here, welcoming you to part 1 of a brand new modded Total Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign. Chosen by community vote, Miao Ying will lead Grand Cathay on the modded Immortal Empires Expanded map. Strap yourselves in for an epic campaign, folks. I've been waiting to do SFO Cathay for a long time, and we are gonna give it proper world-spanning empire treatment. I've got so many army compositions I want to try out, plus we've got the new Nan Gau Grenadier unit and the bonus units added by SFO, like the Terracotta Automatons. But before we do all that, housekeeping. Check out our Discord and join the Ruinous host. Consider joining the channel or becoming a Patreon to get access to perks like exclusive votes, or support the channel by purchasing games through our affiliates in the descriptions below. All mods used will be in the description as well. And speaking of mods, big shout out to the modders, and as always, the biggest of shout outs to you guys for your comments and support. Now, let's take a quick look at what SFO does, how it changes Miao Ying before we start. So, we've got the Dragon's Wrath mechanic, which is one that gives faction-wide bonuses after battles are won that, frankly, we'll check out a little bit more in-game because this isn't super descriptive. Lore appropriate, building the Bastion unlocks unique technologies and increases ward save against chaos, plus Miao Ying's own army suffers less attrition should she need to venture into the chaos wastes. Miao Ying also significantly powers up the melee capabilities of the already fantastic dragon-blooded Shogun Lords, which is a good reason to build lots of them to lead our armies. Otherwise, Miao Ying is the range buffing lord of the 3 dragon children that we currently have. She increases accuracy faction-wide, significantly reduces upkeep reduction for missile infantry in her own army, and recruits specifically gunpowder units at higher rank while buffing those same said gunpowder units and their missile strength as well, making them the mainstay of her own personal army. Should be pretty neat. Otherwise, let's check out the setup. We're going very hard, as I find that to be the sweet spot. AI stats maxed out as always, and that's it. All glory to the algorithm, and let's get to it.
Show courage, show harmony, and show unity. This is the Cathayan way.
Alrighty, here we go, and only through harmony and unity will we be able to hold the Great Bastion and prevent the annihilation of all Cathay. I'm so excited to get this campaign. I've been waiting for it for what feels like forever now, and we're definitely going to make it a good one. Before we start how they play, for those unfamiliar with Grand Cathay, we do have the harmony mechanic, which applies both to our building construction as well as our units. Our units can balance their harmony by being near units of the other half of the harmony, so yin and a yang, and get various buffs on the battlefield from it, while our buildings will get, or our territories will get various buffs, depending on whether we're harmonious or moving towards yin or yang, and we'll have to plan out our territories in that manner. We have our dragon transformation ability, of course, because our legendary lords are dragons, and in my previous Yan Bo campaign, I did manage to get a battle where all 3 dragon lords, Miao Ying, Jiao Ming, and Yuan Bo, were in a single battle, just, I don't know, dragon blundering everything they came across, which was pretty fantastic. We'll check that out as soon as we can. We have the Wuxing Compass ability, where we essentially pick a direction and gain various buffs, depending on what we choose, which we'll get into in a second. The Caravan ability, to send caravans across the world via the Ivory Road and gain money in that way. I don't remember whether they also gain items and ancillaries in the way that the Chaos Dwarfs do via this, but I guess we'll find out. And then lastly, of course, we have the Great Bastion, and even more lastly, I guess, or perhaps more importantly, and the Great Bastion is going to be much more important here than usual because this is the Immortal Empires Expanded campaign, and we have a lot more Chaos Wastes up north, a lot more territory up there for Village and whoever's up there to eventually come down and get a bigger empire, sending armies through. And of course, that's not the only territory. We got additional territories across the water from the Blessed Dread. So the Dark Elves might expand here. We'll have to see. To the northeast of Cathay, we got all these southern territories as well, additional islands, and all of this should be pretty nice for getting a proper Cathayan empire. Though, of course, we do intend to spread out across the world in this one. There's just so much stuff to do and try, especially with the new units of the Nan Gau Grenadiers and the Dragon Breakers, which I have not yet tried, and the Terracotta Sentinel or Terracotta Automatons, which I haven't tried either. Once again, so appropriate for Miao Ying, a range-focused lord, to have all of these additional bonus range units. Anyway, all that aside, we got the first... Actually, the first battle might be auto-resolvable, as it doesn't look like too much. We got a strong alchemist. Frankly, I don't like this, because it's going to be relatively useless. The alchemist isn't really a fighty type of hero. Way too fragile for that. But who knows? A little bit of extra armor, a little bit of a few things, maybe they'll be fighty enough. We can always replace the alchemist with a better one later on. For now, she's going to go into Miao Ying's army. We'll probably auto-resolve this garbage little force unless there's something crazy here. There is none. Oh! I did not even realize that we had a sky junk in here, not just the Celestial Dragon crossbows. Damn, that's going to be bad for the enemies. Anyway, we'll auto-resolve this, just a tiny little garbage fight. And we get a free Jade Amulet out of it. Yes, good. More power recharge from Miao Ying. 370 money or 10 HP healing. Let's take the healing, or 10% rather. And actually, before we move on, what we'll want to do is probably set up trade agreements with other Cathayan... Yes, trade agreements with other Cathayan factions. We'll start with the most critical, which is you, Jiao Ming. And then we'll do you. We are a trade-centric faction after all, so we gotta get all of this set up, and besides, it's a little bit of free cash for us. It also, by taking their cash, weakens the other Cathayan factions, and will likely, oh well, these guys are nearly ready for a confed. We'll make it more likely for us to confederate them earlier on. And the Wuxing Compass, the various choices are pretty good. As I recall, we want the Great Bastion to start because it gives us the ability to summon the Ancestral Warriors in our own region and reduces the recruitment cost, which is pretty big. The eventual thing, though, is to switch to Celestial Lake, which will give us control +6. Everywhere, as well as income from all buildings, which is plus 25% and very significant. So, start with Great Bastion and move on to Celestial Lake once we're ready. I don't imagine the Dragon Emperor's Wrath is going to be all that useful by comparison, but yeah, we'll start with Bastion. And a casualty or punishment trait until we get heroes that do that for us is going to be pretty necessary as well. Ivory Road, let's set up our first caravan. We got a Longma Whisperer and a Rough Rider, so 4 units of Jade Lancers versus 2 units of Great Longma, I mean, 4 Jade Lancers is quite a lot. You know, I'm gonna go with the Jade Lancers this time. Rough Rider. I mean, we'll eventually probably get both. Let's also max this out and then send you on your way to... Barrackfire and Karazakarak seem like decent options. How many turns does this take? 5 turns and 6 turns. Another turn for an extra 500 gold. Is that worth it? Maybe not. Maybe go to Karazakarak first. Alright, that'll be our first journey. Next, do we have to do anything? Oh, let's take our first tech. That will be... We want to move towards this, Rite of Yang and Grace of Chui Yin, in order to get the upkeep reduction for Yin and Yang units both. Banner of Feng Shi gives us, well, it's not a bad banner. This gives us a better banner. Bolstered marksmanship. All right, well, since this is range units, maybe we'll start with you. Although, we get growth out of bureaucratic training and we get corruption here, meaning this is actually better. All right, fine. We'll go for Rite of Yang first, and then we'll move down to Grace of Chui Yin afterwards. All right, that makes sense to me. Next up, we do buildings real quick. Or actually, wait, do we get our first battle? Oh, really? These guys have barely anybody there. What is this? Is this even worth fighting? I mean, it's a first battle. You know what? Let's just... It's just so weak. We will get our first battle against the first of the enemies that we find out here. What did we just get? Recruit rank for Jade Warriors and Jade Warriors with halberds. Okay, fair enough. And Gunpowder Road secured. A Potion of Speed and a Potion of Foolhardiness. I don't care for either. Fuse. Into a Laminate Shield. Not bad at all. No ward save or anything like that, but certainly not bad. And in the big old dragon form, it'll be reasonably significant. Since we get the bonus recruit rank, I'm gonna say we'll start with the... go for maybe 3 Jade Warriors. We'll still build spears and, well, just peasants in general, especially because, just like in the currently ongoing Astanka campaign, we are going to be using the Warband upgrade thing. It's been pretty fun. I didn't hold a vote for it for this particular campaign, but I will avoid, you know, cheating the caps that SFO has, and we'll just deal with this as it goes. Certain things that we can already recruit I don't mind using, and then peasants evolving into, you know, peasant long spears into peasant horses into jade lancers seems pretty fun as well. They gotta survive to earn their stripes, as it were. Anyway, let us build the training camp here. As I recall, the workshops of Nan Gau are gonna want to pump out lots and lots of units. Meaning this is most likely going to be our... I think we should get 2 of them. Out of our military province. In fact, let's get Gunpowder Road immediately, like so. Then, let's take a look at what SFO does for their commandments. We got +4 control, unit experience gain, construction time reduction, Lord recruit rank +2. Okay, so if we want to get a recruiter lord up and running, which we very well might... Proven commander, yes, that's a recruiter lord. Alright, perfection. So what will... Ooh, wait. Maybe then we wait and we can get these Jade Warriors up to rank 4 if we have the Recruiter Lord do it. Alright, fine. We'll do this instead then. Save the money and go for a Peasant Long Spear and a couple of Peasant Archers, like so. Then we will switch you to this commandment, Iron Dragon's Edict, to get the bonus Lord Recruit rank, and then we'll recruit to the Recruiter Lord next turn. We thus also don't need this building here, and we'll wait on it, as we're recruiting peasants out of this. And the rest of that I'm happy with. Beautiful. Alrighty. And I guess we're going to end the first turn without our first cinematic battle, but we'll get to it, you know, probably next turn, the turn after that. Alright, let's do this real quick. And we're good. It's just that those first battles seemed so weak, especially considering we had a freaking Sky Junk and a Celestial Dragon crossbow, that there wasn't any need, it felt, to do it. We need to get Life Bloom as fast as possible, so we'll forego Root Marcher, and end the turn. Like so. And we'll probably want to take advantage of the fact that SFO doesn't have supply lines and try to get a few follower lords up and running rather quick. For those who remember my Yuan Bo campaign, we do have one Cathayan legendary lord, as in one community canon lord, Jishu Ouyang, which is a fire dragon-blooded Shugengan, the apprentice of the Fire Dragon, who will hopefully eventually be added by CA. But even if they aren't, at least we have them. And hello, what do we have here? We have very little in the way of range units here, but we get 3 Jade Warriors with halberds, so I'm going to say take the 3 rather than the 2. Still, let's give this a quick read. The caravan stumbles upon a patrol of allies that have been lost for some time. The guides can show them a way back to friendly regions, although this will cause a short delay in getting the caravan to its destination. Forgotten Fighters. Alright, and what is this? Oh, right. Alright, I mean, I guess... I usually pick time and maneuvers to get the sort of campaign up and running as quickly as possible, but, well, maybe we just pick nothing.
I stand apart.
That way, I don't know, we'll have a little bit more time to grow instead of just constantly fighting with the same armies. Frankly, it's only 10 turns, so it won't matter all that much anyway. Anyway, Miao Ying, you're gonna go to Wang Cheng and... Ah, there we go, this will be an actual fight. Beautiful. Alright, let's get our first cinematic battle underway. They do have a decent amount of range units. Only 1 Sky Lantern left of the 4, and you gotta remember that in SFO, Sky Lanterns are quite a bit stronger than in vanilla, which is odd because it's a big old floating target, but anyway, battle 1.
You will see your families again! This the Storm Dragon swears to you.
All right, don't make promises you can't keep, because I'm willing to bet at least one of these guys won't live to see their family again. But anyway, here we go. Miao Ying's debut. We got that Sky Junk, which I either forgot or didn't know that she started with, and it'll be really nice to have at least one on field for ages. Does look like the enemy is firing back, however, as they do have that Sky Lantern, which it would probably be pointless to fire any rockets at, and by the looks of it, it's going to be targeting our Sky Junk. It's probably a decent option for the enemy Sky Lantern as well. And the damage isn't anything crazy, and frankly, the Shield Breaker is probably better combined with its other units. But anyway, for now, like battle, as the Cathayan sort of first battles do tend to be. And Miao Ying has transformed and is heading into the fray in her dragon form. Of course, she's going to have to dodge a fair few arrows. And is it me? Or did those arrows grow like a million times? Well, maybe not a million times, but grow in size with her transformation. I feel like those arrows are the size of the guys firing them. All right, now, shouldn't quite be spottable from up there. But either way, that's a scary sight. It does look like a fair few of the enemy, in fact, most of the enemy range units seem to go after Miao Ying, ignoring the rest of our army. That, I mean, I didn't intend for that to happen, but it does seem like that's what the enemy wants to do. Fair enough, I'll keep that in mind for future battles and try to get Miao Ying in dragon form to attack enemies a little bit later, rather than allow the enemy to focus her, because I don't like taking advantage of the AI being an idiot. Anyway, it looks like some peasant horses have charged on into our peasant spears, and will be followed up by, wouldn't you know it, more peasants, though Jade Warriors are coming in soon as well. Miao Ying is going after the enemy Sky Lantern over in the sky, and has taken the first of them down, and is looking to bring the second down as well, just so that we keep our Sky Junk relatively safe. Otherwise, the enemy army is in pretty bad shape already. The bounce bars are about 90% in our favor, and I'm sure our own Jade Warriors will be able to hold off the enemies quite well. Alright, and it does look like the enemy is, for main line, is already pretty much done for. They do still have some peasants fighting over on the left and right flanks, but that does make sense, as they are only fighting our own peasants. Miao Ying has found the enemy lord, who, let's face it, has absolutely no chance here. You gotta remember to keep the camera decent ways away from her, as the animations in dragon form are pretty darn flashy. Anyway, by the looks of it, with the fall of the enemy magistrate, the enemy peasant long spears and whatever the enemy had are going to rout, shatter, and give the battle to us. Lovely. One more parting shot from that Sky Junk, and just because I like watching the rockets fire. Come on. Don't make me regret waiting for this. And okay, maybe it's going to turn and fire at somebody else. There it is. Alrighty. Most likely it'll be the Sky Junk that has done the most damage in this particular battle, but let's find out for sure. A nice little debut. Alright, there we are. No problem at all, but the first battle is always an easy one, regardless of if it wasn't the first battle in a sense. But anyway, nice job to our Sky Junk, of course, but it's a, what, tier 5 unit, I want to say? Tier 4 or 5. And 176 kills, though the Celestial Dragon crossbows and Jade Warrior crossbows were not too far behind. I gotta point out that the Celestial Dragon crossbows actually got less gold value and damage dealt than the Jade Warrior crossbows. I guess the fact that they have lower range is actually counting for a fair bit here, which is kind of interesting. Though admittedly they were also firing more on the enemy Jade Warriors and not so much on the enemy peasants, so the shield we'll have shields rather. We'll have absorbed some of their hits. Occupy. Alright, we got another one of these Jade Sculptors. Fair enough. Jade Sculptor for everybody. You, sir, proven commander, rank 3. We're gonna get you on field, we're gonna get you the Jade Sculptor. And then we'll have you, there we go, start these guys at rank 4. Perfect. Do we want to get you... Well, I guess the question is how many of them do we want to get into Miao Ying's army? Admittedly, she will probably eventually have none of them, but sort of having them run around and become Jade Warrior Halberds so that they can eventually become Celestial Dragon Guard might be nice. Of course, we could just directly recruit these guys, but in fact we do need a tier 3 to do so, certainly an option. Let's do 2 for now. 2 for now. We do need more peasant archers, so let's get another peasant archer here. You can recruit nobody, unfortunately, because this is a yellow territory. Fair enough. Fair enough. Ooh, what we do have here, and delete this please, is iron, which gives us, let's see what it does for Cathay. 10 armor for armies in province. It's terrible, but I guess at least it gives us some trade tariff bonuses. Cathay is a trade-centric faction, so we're going to want massive amounts of trade tariffs. It's also an excuse to try to send somebody to find Ulthuan as fast as possible to begin trading with them and the Empire and the Lizards, basically anybody who is any Shield of Civilization faction. And some of the neutral factions as well. Ogres, lizards, wood elves, etc. What do we want here? We are the elite is not going to be too useful for us yet. I think we want to move through as much as possible, increase mobility, so that we can move far as we can, fast as we can. You... We could get the Zen Garden to get the recruitment cost reduction. It doesn't, unfortunately, give us any additional ranks. Recruitment cost for peasants here would be very cheap if we start with a conscription field, though peasants are already so cheap to recruit, I'm not entirely sure that this will actually save us sufficient money, because we'd have to invest in a lot of it. I suppose it does depend on how many peasants we end up building in the early game. We could just do the clay pit instead. It'll also generate money, whereas this thing will just be sitting there. Yeah, you know what? Peasants are cheap enough. Go for the clay pit. We are, once again, a trade-centric faction. I would also like to see what other kind of lords we have available here. Here's combatant. Probably kind of useless on a lord magistrate, admittedly. I do like this, though. Rigorous training. Melee defense +4 and missile resistance 10% for the entire army. That's very nice. Generic and very nice. Guardian +10 melee defense for Great Longmaw Riders, solid. Bastion Protector, kind of mass spell resistance for... it's a solid amount of spell resistance. Frenzy for Jade Warriors, hello. Now that's interesting. Hardened Jadeite. And straight up 10% physical resistance for everybody. And -4 wins of magic cost for Jade Shield, making it so that you can cast Jade Shield for 1 mana, I believe. Unless I'm mistaken. Let me just double check Jade. Oh, we don't have a Dragon-Blooded Shogun yet. Okay, well, yeah. Fair enough. I'm very tempted to get the Hardened Jadeite one, and then start them to be our Jade Warrior army. Especially since Jade Warriors don't have any kind of... Glorious Charge Army and enemy territory, not bad. Don't have any capacity limitations. Opal Amulet for all heroes in the Lord's Army is kind of interesting, but otherwise Ancestral Generals don't wow me in terms of their traits. Yeah, let's start with you. Zhu Zhao, Hardened Jadeite. And you are a Fire Lord, interestingly enough. Huh. I wonder, do we have anything that will make Jade Warriors all do fire damage? Because it's certainly an option for a fire damage army. And now the Frenzy and the Charge bonus doesn't do anything for a Jade Warrior crossbows. This is going to be a melee-centric Jade Warrior army. Start with you. Yeah, alrighty. Oh, wow, I forgot this. Wait, you will want to get Inspiring Recruitment in order to make your units cheaper to recruit. There we go. 2 Jade Warriors. 1 peasant long spear, or no, 1 peasant bow. Assuming, well, I guess I could have gotten this lord up and running here instead for the extra rank, and I maybe should have. But then again, we probably want to move towards Terracotta Sentinel immediately next turn. And you've already recruited a lord in this province this turn. Oh, that was this turn? Okay, fair enough. I'm wondering whether we should recruit another one next turn at rank 3 before switching to the local recruitment capacity. I mean, it's only 2 ranks, it's not a big enough deal for us to be concerned with. Let's also turn off the collect income here and here. It's not enough to concern ourselves with, admittedly, and an SFO turning off income collection gives you a bonus 50 growth, and our starting growth is basically non-existent. Oh, we can already, next turn, start getting the Iron Hail Gunners, Dragon Breakers, and Nan Gau Grenadiers. That'll be real fun. Alright. Nothing else by the looks of it. Gonna double check in complete Parana. Okamoto clan. Oh, why do we have vision of you? You're all the way down here in the new territories from the Immortal Empires Expanded, eh? Interesting. We'll trade with you, why not? And nothing else? Alright, fair enough. Just trade with everybody we can. I wonder if they're... Yeah, they are confederatable. Ooh, if we can confederate them early, we might be able to get a territory down here quickly. And start spreading out from there. That'll be real interesting if we can make it happen. Alright, and the rest of this, I believe, is good, meaning we can end our first turn. We may also want to... Wait, did I do the compass? I did do the compass. We may also want to look into heading down to Shangyang as fast as possible. I mean, it'll take a while to grow it, but more or less just to prevent the Dissenter Lords of Jinshen from being too destructive and killing off Jiao Ming, which is a distinct possibility. I think that's it, though. End turn. Wait, did I switch the... I did switch the commandments. Good job, Ruinous. Alright, let's see what we got next. Now, these guys are the starting enemy. They don't have too many territories. The main concern is how many turns until the Bastion does get breached by the... I was about to say by the Kislevites. Well, hopefully some Kislevites make their way up there so we can trade them the territory. But by the... 2 Ogre Bulls or 3 Peasant Archers? I'm gonna say 3 Peasant Archers, maybe, because we have basically no range units here. By the forces of chaos, I know I can't finish a thought, but for those not new around here, you're probably used to it. I'm also curious, what does this give you? Nothing really. Corruption -5 spell resistance, this is kind of a terrible stance. Harmony stance is terrible, go figure. Channeling is nice and we will need to channel, but for now we're heading to Terracotta Graveyard. Oh, and we got a defender here. This might also be worth fighting. And let's see what we're looking at. Close victory, medium casualties, decent piles of enemy units, and more importantly, a lot of enemy range with, what was it, 8 or 9, yeah, 9 Peasant Archers supported by the additional bonuses from the... Miscast-based chance reduction? Fine as you are. Supported by the Lantern. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else here. We can't build this yet, but we can start on the iron. Rather than anything else, just for those trade goods to be flown, and I guess we can build the pottery maker here as well. Next, we... Did I not switch you to... Yes, I did switch you to local recruitment capacity. Alright, do we start building these guys? Huh. Why did these guys drop down by 1 rank? I guess, was it the presence of Miao Ying that was doing that? I do wish these guys weren't so expensive, though. If we build, well, they're expensive to recruit, but their upkeep is actually pretty darn cheap, so that isn't a big deal. You know, let's start with a blob of peasants because we'll want a peasant army as well, and then we'll follow up with these guys because if we build the peasants first, then we won't waste as much money waiting for them. Anyway, other than that, I believe we're good to fight unless there is Diplo to do. Ah, Western provinces. There we go. 1 gold and presumably nothing else. But we'll have to keep an eye out on this constantly because there will be lots of probably early game confederation. Go.
You will see your families again. This the Storm Dragon swears to you.
You keep promising that, but I don't think that's going to be the case in this particular fight. We are outnumbered 2-1 here, at least in terms of the numbers of enemy units, which will mean this will be a proper debut fight. As in, we're going to have to fight for our lives here. Of course, the enemy will still have to contend with the fact that we have better range units in the form of the, well, single unit of Celestial Dragon crossbows, but generally speaking, the Sky Junks and the Jade Warrior crossbows. And of course, Miao Ying herself, while she is still a relatively low level and at this point couldn't handle the entire enemy army herself, she will eventually become such a powerhouse that an army like this would be of little to no threat to her by herself. Anyway, we are set up where the enemy has to ford a river and climb a hill to move towards us. A relatively small hill, but it's a pretty darn solid location to defend. And we definitely have to take advantage of the terrain as much as possible in order to win 2 versus 1. At the very least without being overrun and having our fragile units get flanked. Speaking of, we can see the enemy cav are moving in, charging those peasant horses. Or charging the peasant horses in to our peasant... well, it's peasants versus peasants. And it does look like some of the enemy peasants did manage to break through the line and will be attacking our Celestial Dragon crossbows. That's not going to work out too well for them either, however, as the Celestial Dragon crossbows have solid 50 melee defense and decent melee attack. More likely than not, we'll make use of the Celestial Dragon crossbows as the sort of melee line aspect of Miao Ying's army, as she doesn't really need other melee. And there we go, another charge from the peasants, and we are looking to be overrun. Miao Ying has moved out, and this time, as promised, I did wait rather than allow all of the enemy range units to fire at her, so that we got a little bit of a range shootout going instead. Oh, and I just gotta say, I absolutely love the Cathayan maps. I say this every single time I either play Cathay or play down in, in Cathay. The maps are always so lovely to look at. Just fantastic, and they're all so bright you can actually see all the action rather than everything being shrouded in shadow. Alright, and we continue to hold the enemy off. They're probably tired from fording the river and climbing uphill, all while taking damage from our range units. Though that said, several of our range units continue to get cycle charged by those peasant horses. Enemies' range units do appear to be focusing our Celestial Dragon crossbows, but with the bronze shield and 100 armor, really good luck to the enemy peasants. Otherwise, we've transformed Miao Ying into non-dragon form. I mean, we did debut her in her dragon form, and I want to see some of the animations of this form as well. We can always transform her back as needed, and at least in this form she can cast the Earth Blood and heal herself up. And I'm sure she should defeat the enemy lord no trouble. She is a little bit damaged, but that's mostly from being fired upon by both the Sky Lantern and several other units. Anyway, I'd wager that duel is going to take a while, but the enemy's main assault has, by the looks of it, failed. And while a bunch of enemy units are still firing away at us, and will continue to do so for a while, I'd wager, once again, we do have the advantage due to the crossbows, although these are the non-shielded version of Jade Warrior crossbows, and I gotta remember to use the Warband upgrade to evolve them once they've reached sufficient veterancy. The enemy seems to have run out of melee troops, however, so we've been able to close the distance in melee with some of their range units. Peasants now fighting Jade Warriors. And the Sword and Board variant should have no trouble killing them off without taking too much damage from the enemy range fire. There is still plenty of range shootouts happening as well, and our Dragon-Blooded Shugengan has arrived to help the left flank from those continuous and irritating peasant horse charges. Otherwise, the balance of power has shifted to about 70% in our favor. The duel between the enemy magistrate and Miao Ying continues upon this hill, as the battle is nice and visible, so they can still shout out commands to their troops while fighting, which I kind of, the idea of which kind of does amuse me. Perfect place to have your duel, though I'm sure the enemy magistrate is terrified at this whole concept, but it is nice to see them fight and the entire battle progress as well. Does look like some of the enemy units have rallied and are charging for the hill once again, but they just don't have the number of melee units necessary to do anything about it anymore. I do note that our Skyjunk has lost about 60% of its HP at this point, having taken considerable fire, or continuous fire, from the enemy's own Sky Lantern and range units, but it's alright, it's not a huge deal. And the enemy lord is done for. He will shatter. Frankly, I'm surprised that his peasants are still willing to fight, and they will attempt to cover his retreat. Good job to them. And one more hit by the looks of it. Ooh, I do wonder whether Miao Ying has any kind of execution ability, or whether she just kills the enemy lord. Looks like just a regular blow. Maybe the dragon form has some kind of execution. We'll have to find out. Oh, and the slow-mo allows us to see the fire rain rockets from the Skyjunk land amongst the enemy, who are having a pretty bad day. The general is dead, most of their army is dead, and the army losses begin to tell and force the rest of the enemy army to shatter. I'm not super concerned about the damage to the Skyjunk, because we can get a couple of casts off of Earthblood at least and heal it up a little bit while we get a few more shots out. Lovely. Close victory and a nice, proper, real first fight. Ooh, alright, a close victory and a really, really fun fight. It's always been such a treat to fight horribly outnumbered. Miao Ying and the Skyjunk both got targeted quite a bit by the enemy range units, but they did manage to hit back fairly hard. This time we use Miao Ying as a mortal form duelist to kill off the enemy lord, and well, with only a little bit of work from her dragon form, as it does have a tendency to steal the show, and this was supposed to be the army's show, and this time around. Very fun. We will occupy the place. Like so. Got a free armor of silvered steel, which also does make sense on an alchemist, so we'll put it on you, though I still don't like that strong trait, so I still have a full intent to replace you. Now, we definitely want to get Life Bloom, and Power of Yin probably as well, but definitely Life Bloom. And then, of course, we can do the movement range afterwards, though it looks like we are still in range of Po Mei and the ability to get our second province. Looks like we captured a wares market here, which puts us in the Yang Harmony, which gives us construction cost plus 10. That's going to be a no from me. Huh. I wonder, does... Well, let's see. When yin and yang are equal, it's the upkeep reduction, which is fantastic, and the income from buildings plus 20%. I wonder if Yin Harmony will give us the opposite of what we see here, and thus give us construction cost decrease, additional growth, and additional control, because that would be swovely. I guess we have only one way to find out. Switch to Spice Market, and we'll see. And then we can balance it if that doesn't quite work out. Anyway, let's see. Well, I was about to say, let's see if there are any new lords, but I guess there are. Ooh. Hello. Peasant long spears, peasant archers, and peasant horses upkeep production by 20%. I mean, granted, it's the super cheap peasant units, but we could get a super cheap peasant army running around and doing things, leveling up and thereby allowing us to... Still do really like that rigorous training, but anyway, leveling up, and then we can use the once they're leveled up peasants to do things. You know, things. We don't have to get her on field immediately because it just appeared, but this is definitely an option for once we need to transfer the units currently being recruited by Qian Tsai. And I believe we're good for this turn. Yes, so skip and wait. Assign a skill point. No more increased mobility, so I'm gonna say... I guess we can get Enchanted Metallurgy. Buff up the damage of the Celestial Crossbows, if nothing else. And oh wow, the peasants didn't level from that fight. Well, I guess they didn't kill nearly as many as the Jade Warriors did, so it does make sense. Having a little bit of a harder time leveling, but that's alright. Let's see if these guys manage to recover an army before heading to Pome. I suppose we could have actually recruited here as well, but I also am willing to bet that we probably won't need additional recruits to hit this location. Would have been nice to have a higher level on our recruiter lord so we could get the 3 points in it, but anyway. Alright, so the harmony should now switch. Let's see if that is what... Yes, okay, so it does give us construction cost -5, meaning we can probably turn everything to yin while we build up, and then change it out afterwards. Kind of seems to make sense, and I guess the same thing will also be true here. Let's also upgrade the village, and not the village. Goldtooth will have confederated crossed clubs as well. Good for Goldtooth. Pome is the next target, but of course it's really Wei Jin that we want, and more likely than not it'll probably get killed by the Blessed Dread, as they have a tendency to do so. But for the nonce, they'll hold ground, and we can take advantage of that to move elsewhere. Maybe even down here to grab Shangyang for ourselves. Nobody seems to want to ally or confederate as yet, but that's just fine. And we can ignore everything north of us as well, at least for now. And I would like you to follow. Well, actually, you to siege and then you to follow. Alright, what do we have here? Close victory, medium casualties. It's not much. Frankly, well, I mean, it is a siege, which we haven't done yet. I was about to say, it's kind of auto-resolvable looking, but you, keep leeching XP, please. Not that you leached all that much in that previous battle. Before I forget, let us get, I don't know, a couple more peasants. Once again, they're super cheap, and then we'll recruit some of these guys afterwards for Miao Ying. We could also get a couple more of the Jade Warriors for the other army, but let's not jump the gun. Peasant Archers and Peasant Spears, since we can evolve them via Warband, and then we can attack this, I guess, to not lose out on that one single unit of Spears. Go.
Without hesitation, then victory is assured.
Alrighty, I'm gonna have to agree with that one. Victory most likely is assured. Sure, this is our first siege battle, and the sieges are significantly more difficult in SFO than they are in vanilla, but nonetheless, the dragon children they're just so dang good at sieges. And of course, we do have the Sky Junk, and everybody will get powered up by Miao Ying using the Wrath of the Storm, imbuing everybody with magical attacks and allowing them to do a little bit more damage. Our crossbows will pincushion anybody on top of the walls, and while I'm sure many a shot will be blocked, we do have the numerical superiority, and the peasant archers will be out of there rather quickly. Lovely. This will give the opportunity for Miao Ying to transform shortly, but in the meantime, we can get a few more shots into the enemy blobs of units over there. And we continue to approach, and ooh, nice job to these peasant archers. Actually easier for them to arc their shots over the wall rather than staying up on the wall, where they would be in a lot more danger. Good for them. And good for them indeed. That said, without the units protecting the wall, we have our first unit of Jade Warriors rather, attacking the enemy gate, which will take a while, admittedly, but they will bring down before long. Alright, and our range units have gotten close enough to arc over the wall themselves. It offers little protection against the arrow rain / coral rain, and the unit of archers will be decimated rapidly. Now, interestingly enough, the sort of later form of our particular army will have the Dragon Fire Gunners and the Nan Gau Grenadiers and the Crane Gunners as well, so we'll have a lot more direct line of sight to see later. And once again, gotta love those Cathay maps. Absolutely beautiful. I definitely feel like they put in so much effort into the sort of later edition factions maps and Cathay maps and the Chaos Dwarf maps and the Darklands, all that stuff. Ooh, a little bit of a well, maybe not so much a bug, but the platform kind of interferes with Miao Ying's ability to actually attack the Sky Lanterns, meaning she's going to attack the air, so we'll have to peel her away while we deal with while we try to move there. And I'm going to speed this up a little bit as well. There's one enemy unit just sort of running around around here, but it's a peasant long spear and it's basically dead already. And we got 17k damage to work through in terms of the enemy gate. Still, Miao Ying's gonna back away, not so much because she's, well, you know, scared of anything here, just we couldn't attack that darn lantern. Not a big deal. Alright, and to speed matters up a little bit, we are going to start climbing the walls with the peasant long spears. We can allow the peasants to tire themselves out, losing their vigor by climbing, while the Jade Warriors move in via the open gate once the peasants have acquired it or captured it. The enemy magistrate has foolishly closed the distance as well and has already shed about half of his HP, as it does look like our units are accurate enough to fire upon him. Or perhaps he's too slow. Miao Ying does offer the bonus accuracy as well, doesn't she? Meaning the units are better for sniping things like this. Sorry, Magistrate, you're down to 10% HP now, and we don't even need Miao Ying in dragon form to kill you off. Our peasants are heading up those walls, and frankly, there's only 6.5k left of HP on the enemy gate, as well as we are attacking it with Miao Ying and her hero there, her alchemist, whose name I have at this point forgotten. One more volley of arrows into the back of the cowardly magistrate will bring him down. Can't quite see it though because the darn platforms. But that's just the nature of some of these settlements with platforms. And funnily enough, I was talking about the maps of the Chaos Dwarfs as well as the Cathayans, and both have a tendency to have these sort of objects over the settlement. Anyway, let's speed it up again as we get ready to head on into the enemy settlement and continue the fight. Enemy is concentrated a lot of its units still back there. I guess they do have a lot of cavalry in this particular army, and admittedly there isn't much that they can do with it. They're just peasant horses, and while they can certainly charge towards our Jade Warriors, judging by their stats, they're not going to be able to do anything with them. Actually, at 11 armor-piercing damage, the peasant horses have a surprisingly high amount of armor pierce. Like, impressively so. Interesting. Compared to the 2 on the peasant archers, but I guess we can't underestimate a charge from the peasant horses either. Interesting. Well, either way, are they finally ready to charge us? No, they're kind of sort of menacing us, kind of charging close towards us and then backing off. Kind of a weird behavior from a melee cav. If they were range cav, if they could, I don't know, Parthian shot or whatever, then that would be a lot more threatening. But they're just sort of, I don't know, they're not even annoying. Whatever. We'll just continue advancing as we continue getting more and more troops into our settlement, and the AI still doesn't really know what to do. And just get better and better positioning. And it looks like an enemy range unit has finally moved forward, which means it can actually fire back, but that also means that we can fire right at it as well, and the enemy range unit gets ripped apart rather quickly. Peasant horses, are you finally ready to join the fray? Or are you going to continue milling around uselessly? And yeah, sorry about the camera work in this particular battle. Another reason I prefer field battles is trying not to get around all of those crazy objects up in the sky. Alright, I'm gonna speed this up once again until the enemy is... There we go, finally ready to fight. Okay, let's see. Oh, this platform's so big, the enemy keeps attacking directly under the platform. Yeah, not much I can do about that. Such that our lords are directly in the center of it. This also, I think, means, though, that we can't really use, like, a Searing Doom on these guys. Yeah, see, the Searing Doom will hit the platform up above. I wanted to test that, but that's alright. We got the range units available to us, and they can fire upon the enemy instead until we bring all those peasant horses down. Alright, we can see the fancy moves of both the Dragon-Blooded Shugengan and of Miao Ying as well, just off in the distance. But I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to enjoy them later on when we are doing another field battle. Anyway, the range units, and with our lords anchoring the line, will bring down the peasant horses rather rapidly, and I'm going to speed this up again as we continue advancing forward. A unit of peasant archers that was firing away at us has given up, and we will make our way up the ramp towards the enemy settlement proper. Alright, there we go, another unit of peasants will block us off, and well, if it isn't the second enemy Lord Magistrate, here come the dragon ladies, half-dragons, well, they're not even really dragon, well, whatever. Miao Ying is half dragon, half weird shapeshifter creature, and the dragon-blooded Shogun can have some small matter of that same blood. And let's see, the Lord Magistrate quickly drops down to about half of his HP as we move the Alchemist in to help as well, just because we can. And then I suppose, while I don't like that, I don't particularly think the strong trait is useful on the Alchemist. It'll help in getting duels like this, should we need to in the particular army. And Miao Ying will power her her minions up with that ability once again. I keep forgetting what its name is. Wrath of the Storm. The magical imbuement is great on the range units, but it is also a very solid amount of extra melee attack, and it's another reason why we should be able to get good use out of the Celestial Dragon crossbows as melee units, because if they do get charged, we can use the Wrath of the Storm to buff up their melee attack and allow them to fight in melee. Anyway, this is looking like the last hurrah of the enemy blob, and it's time for Miao Ying to transform into dragon form once more. Going back and forth between the two, but there's a blob of peasants around here, and Miao Ying should be able to obliterate them rather quickly. Plus, she, I assume, gives terror? Yes. I mean, it's a pretty terrifying sight. There we go. It's so hard to watch the dragons do anything in the camera, though, because their animations are so insane. Just flying up in the sky and all around, and never remaining in the camera's sight. But that's alright, as long as we're effective, and effective we damn well are. Miao Ying's up to 54 kills. I think this is the first time she's fighting an infantry blob in this particular episode, as until now she's been dueling lords and then holding back piles of those peasant horses. There we go. Horrible formation disruption from those tail whacks as well. And it looks like the peasants are done. With the peasants done, I do believe the only thing that remains is a single unit of archers and a single unit of sky lanterns, which we would have destroyed earlier, but couldn't because of the platform blocking. That's alright though. With that, the battle is ours with very little damage having been taken. Lovely. Standard of wage in. Leadership for us and minus leadership for enemies. Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? Something we could probably put on a war drum once we inevitably get some war drums in this army. Though as to whether it'll be the sort of the super war drum or the irregular one, we'll also see. Anyway, we'll give it to the alchemist for now. Yes. Otherwise, decent little fight. Obviously, the dragon children make, or have a tendency to make sieges very much go in their favor. And with that, the Dissenter Lord... No, I forgot what these guys were called. Dissenter Lords of Jin Shenra southward. Hey, we get the Grace of Cui Yin because we've reached level 4. Beautiful. That's a regiment of renowned Celestial Dragon crossbows. Capture 2 provinces. Good. And Rebel Lords of Nan Yang. Okay, that's the one. We probably don't need the peasant horses. I was actually going to upgrade these 2 to peasant horses, though. Ah, we can only build 1 at a time. Ah, well darn, but alright, fair enough, game, fair enough. I mean, we could build 1 here, but we just upgrade them instead. You don't collect the income or continue not collecting income, and I imagine... Let's see, where would we go next? We obviously want to take this territory for ourselves, but until they start getting beaten by the Dark Elves, we may want to just more or less ignore them and head down to Deathmaster's Snitch, or through all this towards the Shrine of the Alchemist. I think that means we could build some more peasants with our various armies, or we could get that peasant-controlling lord up and running as well. Yeah, you know what, let's start with that. Let's get the Iron Dragon's Edict, which will give us a little bit of bonus growth in this new territory as well, which ain't too bad. And then we'll proceed elsewhere. You can also channel, and can Miao Ying leave the settlement and channel? It'll mean a little bit less healing for the peasants, but... Oh no, not the peasants. Not the peasants. Anyway, let's get a Rune Marcher because we're about to move, and then we'll go for Power of Yin afterwards, though I do like that armor reduction that it gives. You... I mean, I guess we'll have to figure out which of the variants that we want. Higher damage. Poison will allow us to slow enemies down with whatever range unit we put it on. This gives us flaming attacks and much higher missile damage, eh? And then this side ticket gives the lowest base weapon and base missile. This gives base weapon, armor-piercing missile, and... I mean, I'm almost tempted to do the flaming one just to massively increase the damage dealt by the Grace of Chui Yin, which are going to be hitting the hardest of our entire army. There's also the potential of just using it on the Sky Junk, which already does fire damage, so it won't make any kind of significant effect. Also, let's get you Will of the Dragons while we're at it, though I do love Dragon's Breath and Wall of Wind and Fire. Both fantastic spells. You know, I'll think about where to put that point. For now, we'll leave it alone. And just use the basic variant. Until the need dictates what we do with it. Though, once again, likely to replace this Alchemist in this particular army. And I guess Potion of Strength and the Rage ability might mean we put you into another army that's a little bit more melee-focused. You know, the Frenzied Jade Warrior army. The Hardened Jadeite army. That might be nice as well. Anyway, you can have Searing Doom for now. Lovely. Our rest of us, I believe, is good. There's nothing to build, there's nothing to recruit. Our money is, well, still in a situation, and we'll have to try to make this a money-making province as best we can. And just keep it in yen for now. Recruit rank -2. Well, it's probably good that we're not recruiting. I mean, I guess we could... We could recruit one single peasant instead of channeling, but frankly the channeling probably has more value. Oh, I forgot to do that. Okay. 1 second. Soon as the turn ends. I unfortunately clicked it a little bit too early. Let's see if anybody declares war on us, or if anybody starts breaching that bastion. If we had a spare hero, I'd love to send somebody up here just to see what the... I think an army won somewhere up there, but whose? Anyway, what do we have here? Cargo plus 200, can't go over 1,000, which does nothing for us, and this army is relatively undamaged, so I guess we can... Well, it's a tiny bit damaged, so I guess we'll replenish. Arrival's caravan is spotted, dragged off the road and wrecked. There are no signs of the lost crew. Eaten is the guide's guess. However, there is cargo in the debris. All agree it's best to take what can be carried and move on. Grab the medicine. Alrighty, an unusual location, Terracotta Graveyard. Oh, wow, I'm just getting... What the heck? And it's the Exquisite Vineyard. Okay, well, that's lovely. And just like I said in my Stanka campaign, I went through a long time of never getting a single one of those unusual locations, so it's very interesting to see them come up now. Anyway, you two go here. Like so. We won't be going this way as yet, though we do have to keep an eye on them. Okay, the Dissenter Lords of Jin Shen still have the Xiangyang, which has that Great Embassy, rather. I want to say Imperial Embassy. Certainly something we want to focus. Reload time for Skylanders. Could be interesting. There's so freaking many army compositions I want to try. But yeah, we want to get the Steadfast Lord, so we'll get you here in Wangchang. It's honestly not a lot, because the peasants are so cheap, but nonetheless, it also gives them casualty or punishment rate, so it'll enable them to level up a lot quicker. And I'm not super big on any of these Celestial Generals as yet. Bastion Protector it is. Wait, no, wrong one. Steadfast it is. Like so. Lovely. And you can sit there for now, and the rest of you can just come along. We will also build up the Sawyer, which does give us construction cost reduction for all buildings in the territory. And I guess we'll want to start by upgrading Po Mei, because it'll, well, enable us to get it up and running. You... Well... They will move right past you here, but you should still be able to march stance over here and transfer next turn, so we do have one more turn of recruitment. Can't afford too much, unfortunately. I guess what we'll do is we'll build just a couple of the Nan Gau Grenadiers. I do want to build those guys up and around faster next turn, but for now we can't afford them, so it is what it is. Unless we can get gold from somebody. Jade Custodians want to be a defensive ally. Does that really do anything for us right now? I fear that it might not. And I also saw, let me just see here, Celestial Loyalists don't like us for killing the Rebel Lords of Nanyang. They're Rebel Lords, man, come on. Why wouldn't we be killing them? Typical game. Typical. Anyway, unassigned skill points we can ignore. Oh, this is what I wanted to get to. Rights. What do we have here? Anything of use to us? We do have the construction time reduction for all buildings. Unit experience per turn and character experience per turn. May as well get this up and running. It'll be pretty darn valuable in the early game. Let's do it. Drill for the Dragon Emperor. Like so. Alright, a little bit of XP, a little bit of... probably get a couple of levels out of it. And you can have a Route Marcher and Will of the Dragons to start off. Also, I would love for you to level up, so... I'd really do wish that you got more XP for recruiting units. It would be really helpful for what you're doing. But anyway. 5 turns until the cooldown is up in turn. Alrighty, watch just as we head down to Shangyang, these guys start getting attacked and falling. But frankly, spending a few extra turns moving, I think will be a nice thing in the end. Because it'll allow the enemy to build up, tech up, etc., etc., so that we are not, you know, over-teching them and being too much stronger than them. As it does have a tendency to be an issue. Where is this? Ambusher discovered. Is the game suggesting that this army is here? Because I can't see the actual army, which is a bit of a sham. Recruit rank for peasant long spears. Good, because you'll be recruiting plenty more of them. Caravan completed. 4,000 gold. That's a very nice find. And oh, they do give us the units. And the caravan added the gyrocopter. Immunity to psychology, melee defense, and physical resistance 15 is pretty considerable, but I think we have to keep the Jade Amulet for now, especially since she's the one casting. Yeah. We'll probably use the Anchor Chain eventually, though, so we'll keep it around. Alright, then, since we have money in buildings, we should upgrade Wang Chang as fast as we can to try to get that Temple of the Jade-Blooded Sorcerers. So we'll do you. And I'd love to continue recruiting, but... I mean, I guess we could grab... Well... No, let's move as far as we can first. You go into channeling stance at the edge of our own territory, like so. And then you go into channeling stance at the edge of our own territory, like so as well. Then you go into channeling stance at the edge of our territory. Wait, just... We're gonna transfer all the peasants to you, because that should reduce the upkeep. 1620 down to... probably not much of a difference, but... 1650. Hey, every little bit counts this early in the game. Come on now. You are going to go into March stance, and you're going to transfer to... Okay, I can't quite select... Not Miao Ying, to you. I don't even remember if I transferred to the right lord, but whatever. Alright, we'll give the... Yes, okay, we'll give the peasants to you for now. And we'll give Miao Ying the Jade Warriors and the Grenadiers. We'll transfer the Jade Warriors to the inevitable Jade Warrior army, but we'll do that later. You can also move back to Nanli, where we will continue recruiting afterwards. I also do want to keep an eye on these lords. If we get another recruiter lord, I just want to get him on field and then delete him, so that eventually we can... Cathay Stalwart is really nice. Enables magical attacks for all melee units. That might actually be better than Frenzy for Jade Warriors. Go figure. And wins a magic cost reduction as well. This is, worded is also quite nice. Physical resistance, but the super cheap Jade Shield, I do like that. Not super impressed with the Celestial General traits so far, but that doesn't mean we won't encounter some really good ones. Depending on my luck, which, you know. Anyway, I believe we are good to go, unless there's Diplo to do to end the turn and continue downward or southward. And, okay, no, he's still Chiang, which is rebelling by the looks of it. How many territories do you have? 2. Okay, you better not die, dude. Just don't screw it up. End turn. Oh. Well, I was about to say, we should maybe send a hero out to try to find Yuan Bo, but, he's... I don't think I've ever seen him die. He's in a pretty solid location, at least with his starting island, and I think the likelihood of his faction actually getting wiped out is pretty darn low. Oh, damn, the caravan got completed. We should get a new one up and running. Got too excited. What was that? Was that the Beastman running around? Confederation Blood Guzzlers. Amateur discovered. Well, if they were running around, they're out here now. Trickster Shard for constructing 3 buildings that contribute to harmony. Fair enough. And get that caravan up and running. You're returning, but we can get a new one going. A Longma Whisperer versus Western Idealist. 10 diplomatic relations with Empire. Gives us 2 halberdiers, 1 and a couple of basic infantry units. Frankly, I would wager that the Longmas provide quite a bit more value. So we'll do that. Then, we need to send you somewhere where we get... Okay, so we've been to Karazakarak. I guess we'll try Barakvar next. Max out the cargo as well. And try not to die while doing it. Barakvar. You will travel through some territories. Ooh, well, in fact, you leave from Shangyang now, so for now it's not too dangerous. Wait, we could go to... Wait. I can't even tell. Oh, we can select the... Oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know you could select the... Wait, where are you going now? What the heck? Okay, that's just weird. Yeah, we're gonna do Barakvar. Dispatch. Try not to die or else you'll cost us 1,000 gold. And on the bright side, this will give us vision for a turn of Shangyang at least. We should probably, what we should probably do is send the peasant army to take the Shrine of the Alchemist while Miao Ying continues on southward. Probably then a good idea to get the Grace of Trey Yin. It's just that they're stupidly expensive. Almost tempted to say it's kind of not worth it right now. Especially if we want to continue recruiting and stuff. Also, well, you can keep the growth thing. Let's get the village up and running. Yes. And then we probably can't afford anything else. At least not yet. Anything here for construction time? Well, we could go for the Jade Dragon's Edict for the control. Yeah, you know what? Go for the Jade Dragon's Edict. Recruiter man, return to Nan Li. And then all 3 of you will proceed southward. Now, this is the Jade Desert. Or the Warpstone Desert, whatever. Meaning you're gonna suffer a turn of attrition, but we gotta get down here as fast as possible, so we'll do it like so. And then you...
Miao Ying.
Oh, and I just realized if we were going to summon the... Oh, we can't afford them anyway right now. Well, it's not like there's anybody here defending, so we should be fine. And both of you go down, take the turn of attrition, not a big deal. And then I'm just gonna hope that this is sufficient to take out this army. We can go this way so that we don't suffer attrition doing it. Watch there be a full stack here. No, we're looking okay. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. And then soon, oh, we might even be able to transfer some territory to Goldtooth. Have him sit in the mountains of Morn, trading with us for the entire campaign and providing us some nice ogre units. Which we once again do want. Alright, the rest of this I believe is good. Let's double check Diplo and then go next turn. Trade agreement for the Eastern River Lords who are currently fighting the Lizards. Lizards won't be happy about this, but, well, that's a lizard problem. And we have other lizards to potentially ally with. Jade Custodians still want the defensive alliance, but I don't want to get into additional conflicts that serve no real purpose to us right now. And frankly, the weaker the other Cathayan factions, the better for us confederating them inevitably. And the turn. Alright, a little bit of attrition. Let's see if we can reach Shangyang in a single turn. That would be ideal. But if we can't, we'll just heal up in the desert via encamp stance. Not like whatever... Unless the enemy gets a full stack to defend it. The likelihood of them actually being able to defend it is pretty darn low. And then I guess we'll have to turn right back around to hit the rats. Oh, maybe just a brief trip southward to grab vision of the Golden Order. What do we have here? Ooh, not bad. Avoid the danger for 1,000 gold? No. Repel ambushers. Pathfinders have scouted ahead and discovered an ambush is being set. There's a branching road that will veer us away from danger but delay the caravan's arrival. The other option is to take the caravan along the original route, repel the ambushers, and arrive on time. Alright, and here we go. Close victory, low casualties. The biggest problem is going to be those lead belchers, but this is the army with the 2 great Longma riders, so let's ride.
Remember, you do not fight alone. All Cathay stands with you.
Ah, the glorious Cathayan maps. Fantastic. Every single map, isn't it? And once again, everything is nice and visible. This is the Warpstone Desert, or at least the outskirts of it, and so we've got the sort of Warpstone all around, the Badlands-like terrain as well. This will also be the debut of the Great Longma Riders, and another good reason to have fought this is a little bit of a break from Miao Ying's main force. Fighting other Cathayans will allow us to fight some ogres instead. Now, the enemy is looking at those Great Longma Riders and is very terrified of us using them against them, so what they're doing is they're trying to screen them with Nobbler Trappers and with the Lead Belchers on both sides. The AI also knows that these are tier 4 units and will be absolutely devastating, whereas the Jade Warriors and the Peasants, tiers 1 and 2, don't represent the same kind of strength. That said, what this means is that we can essentially use just the threat of the Great Longma Riders to peel away 5 units from the enemy army as they chase them around, meaning that the enemy will attack us with only 3 units, 2 Ogre Bulls and 2 Nobbler sets, led by the enemy Lord, and allow us to attack them. Flock of Doom comes down from the enemy, and he'll buff the Ogre Bulls with Vissen's Wild Form. Very good use of that from the enemy, massively increasing their armor, and as we've seen, the Peasant crossbows have a mere 2 armor piercing to their name. So that works out decently well for them. That said, the Ogre Bulls are down to half HP, and they still have to contend with the anti-large weapons of those Jade Warriors. Does look like the enemy Saber Tusk pack will loop around us, and the other enemy units are still chasing those Longma Riders, but it's time for them to get the other unit to get their first charge in. The charge of the Saber Tusks is wasted on the Peasants, and then the Longma Riders, with their own devastating 100 charge bonus, will shred the enemy Saber Tusks, which are probably also in Rampage and also probably having a pretty bad day of it. Yeah, there we can see the Rampage effect on them. The Longmas obliterate that unit. It looks like the first of the enemy Ogre Bulls is done for as well, and the enemy Slaughtermaster has been defeated by a combination of us being able to fire over the head and hat of the Magistrate here. Certainly not a lord you'd usually be using to duel, but I suppose the Slaughtermaster ain't the best duelist lord either. Lovely. The Nobblers are still fighting and have done a surprisingly decent amount of damage to those Jade Warriors with halberds. 6 kills, but 1,300 damage. Good for them. And here comes another charge from those Great Longmas. The Nobbler Trappers may have been there to screen them, but they stand absolutely no chance at dealing with these units. And you gotta love the look of the Great Longma Riders. They're such a pretty unit, aren't they? These things must be really fun to paint, but anyway, or maybe unfun to paint, depending on how you look at it. They probably look fantastic. Anyway, the Nobbler Trappers are done for. The Lead Belchers are still trying to draw a bead on our Longma Riders, but doing so in vain. The second unit of Ogre Bulls has arrived and are being poked away at, no Slanesh Giggle, by the long spears, with a little bit of help from the polearms, while the Longma Riders head out and get ready to finally head towards the Lead Belchers. Gotta be a scary sight. Otherwise, the enemy balance of power is maybe, what, 15% in their favor only? Both of the Longma Riders still continue hovering around. Let's get a first charge right into the pile of Nobbler Trappers. See them shatter, especially while the Lead Belchers are focused on the other unit. And this is, I guess, a good showcase of when playing against the AI, of using the threat of units as opposed to directly necessarily the units for a decent portion of the battle. And there we go. The Lead Belchers are atrocious in melee, and they will get torn apart super rapidly, especially as this is a unit that has devastating melee capabilities. And that massive charge, and it looks like the Lead Belchers are all wiped out. The last full HP unit of a Nobbler Trappers still on field, but even they not for much longer as we peel the other unit of Longmas away and obliterate those poor Nobblers. Alrighty, run them down. I'm just watching the Longmas do their thing, since it'll be a little bit before we're able to build our own, or until we're able to sort of, not build, but warband them. And depending on if we want to have the ability to upgrade Jade Lancers to Great Longmas, or whether that seems unlawful enough, you guys let me know your opinions on that one. We can, you know, sort of self-impose some limitations on the Warband upgrade mod. I do really like the idea, once again, to be able to level up sort of basic units, and as we grow attached to them, as we name them, etc., for them to evolve by surviving. But, ooh, wow, that's a big old pile of bones. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you think. A lovely little fight for the caravan and for the Great Longma. Alright, there we go. Nice little fight. The enemy was worried about those Longma riders, and, you know, with good reason, 44k damage and 30k damage on both of them that they were unable to use half their army, just trying to sort of deny them the opportunity. But, yeah, that really didn't work out for the enemy. We got a little bit of healing, but I think 1,000 gold is more worth our time. It's not like it was a particularly strong defensive army. Darklands orcs already destroyed. Ooh, Darklands are looking pretty interesting already. Neat. Neat indeed. Anyway, we do have a decent bit of cash. We have... And the Dissenter Lord's running around. Now the question is, can we reach Shangyang? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Lovely. I guess we can ignore you and then head to Taitsu after. I see you still haven't captured Shenwu, and we can probably get a defensive alliance going with them for that reason. Looks like the Beastmen were able to destroy Mingzhu, as I take it these guys are at war with them, and I'm a little bit concerned about them turning on us and attacking us next. Might want to send the peasant army back there. Speaking of the peasant army, let us ask the western provinces to join war against the Dissenter Lords of Jinshen for basically nothing, unfortunately, but it'll make us friendlier. So something, I guess. Frankly, we could probably pay them for the defensive alliance, but it's probably also not super needed at the current time. You. Hey, Shrine of the Alchemist, let's see what we got here. Actually, they have the Ancestral Warriors Edict. Ah, that's interesting. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, 6 units of Jade Warriors, plus the Jade Lancers, who the peasants would have a very tough time dealing with. Huh. And the unit of Ancestral Warriors could be summoned right in the middle of our forces, which would be quite unfortunate. I would actually maybe want to bring this guy to help out a little bit. Alright, you know what? Here's what we'll do. We will send Miao Ying here to take Shangyang, for obvious reasons. That was always going to be the case. Alright, and we may or may not fight this. I mean, they have no chance. You can't approach the Shrine of the Alchemist. What you can do is approach here and help Miao Ying to attack this territory. Then what we'll do is we'll pay to summon the Grace of Chui Yin, and then we'll transfer them to this army, and then we'll attack here with the peasants and with the single unit of Celestial Dragon crossbows, which we will then transfer to Miao Ying to make sure that there's at least one unit here that does sufficient armor-piercing damage to deal with the enemy Jade Warriors and Jade Lancers. Building-wise, we definitely want to upgrade the Marble Quarry at Po Mei, and I mean, I guess we're still going through the sort of yin chain to reduce the construction costs even further to get this territory up and running. At the cost of... how much income does it generate? Not a lot. We'll also need a lot of control. Wait, how do we get control? Which building chain is it? Alright, so it's this one. Alright, well, let's start with the Goods Emporium for more construction cost reduction. Wait, so this gives us direct income and tariffs. This gives us income from all buildings, all regions and province. And not. But also no loss of control, admittedly. And this also gives us growth. Which is nice, but we're growing by, well, I'm still gonna say construction cost reduction. Keep spamming it, at least for now. I assume that we can get it further, like more construction cost reduction, which actually would be quite swell. Though at the cost of a little bit of research, which is at 96, and these were at 4 turns and now they're at 5. We actually need something that gives us a little bit of extra research. I think we do have commandments that can do it. Also, wait. We will need to reduce the cost of these territories as well, so I guess what we'll also want to do is build another spice market here, or in the alternative we can build a conscription field. If we're not collecting the money here, which right now we aren't, 300 gold, not worth it. Yeah, fine, let's build a construction field. Construction field. Slanashigig. Yeah, anyway. And I guess we can fight these. Assuming that there is no more Diplo to do this turn, and yes, I'm going to paranoidly check it like 50 times every single turn, because you gotta do what you gotta do. You. We'll start with you. I want to see the Grace of Trey Yin attack, and I love those as sort of magical arrows, similar to Sisters of Avalorn, that they use. I assume I leveled you up. Guess we're about to find out.
We are better trained, we are better equipped, we are more dutiful. Victory is inevitable!
We're not better trained, and we're certainly not better equipped. That's actually what I think is going to make this probably the most interesting fight of this first episode. It's peasants versus Jade Warriors. Now, the big issue is that the Jade Warriors number 7 distinct units, and that's a lot of units with super heavy armor, 100 armor and bronze shields. As we have checked in, I don't know, a couple of a couple of battles ago, we have basically no armor-piercing damage whatsoever on the Peasant Archers. They're a little bit better than Skaven Slaves, so I think have either 0 or 1 armor-piercing damage, but not by much, with only 2, meaning we could be plinking away at a single unit of Jade Warriors, especially with shields, with all 6 of our units of Peasant Archers, and doing effectively no damage. The entire battle will come down to only 2 things: whether we can dish out sufficient damage with our Dragon-Blooded Shugengun, and whether we can deal out sufficient damage with the Grace of Shui. They will decide the battle. Our single super elite unit, tier 4, will it be enough to deal with all of the enemy Jade Warriors? We shall see. Anyway, this is going to be a very dangerous fight, and so, by virtue of it, we're definitely going to fight the enemy on our terms, and thus take the best position we can, especially since the AI refuses to even attempt to punish us for a repositioning like this. Definitely have to take advantage of it in this particular situation. Obviously, if it was a more even battle and the enemy our enemy army wasn't so favored, then I wouldn't bother with it. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off by moving the Grace of Trey Yin forward and have them start attacking not the enemy Jade Warrior crossbows, but rather the enemy Sky Lantern. We've already seen from a distance the enemy Sky Lantern rack up 46 kills, which is pretty solid, and I'm sure that shield breaker and damage continuing will not be so good for us. Plus, it provides accuracy and missile resistance for the entire enemy army below it, as it is still technically a support unit. But hopefully our magical arrow-firing units of Celestial Dragon crossbows can bring it down with decent speed. The first one will fall from the sky, another volley will bring down a second. Another volley, there we go, we'll bring down the second, and by the looks of it, the unit has shed enough HP to be shaken. Let's see if we can't get a few more volleys up, but we will have to back off rather shortly as well. Oh, you gotta love those arrows, though. Alright, and the enemy army is, by the looks of it, sufficiently annoyed to move towards us. We do pop the Jade Shield on our units of Celestial Dragon crossbows in order to get that damage resistance and missile block. And here, well, that's a good example. We have a unit of Jade Warriors with halberds. Every single one of our Peasant Archers, all of them, all 6, are firing at this one unit. And they are taking damage. They've lost about half of their HP, though only 20 models, and this is an unshielded unit. I figured it would be an absolute waste to have our crossbows, or have our Peasants fire on shielded units. so we didn't bother. Our Lord moves in and will drop a Dragon's Breath in the middle of the enemy unit, but it looks like we do manage to take out one unit of Jade Warriors with all of our range units focusing them. Time to switch fire to other units, though we are already taking damage ourselves. Two of our units of Peasant Long Spears are down to half HP due to fire from the enemy Peasant Crossbows, and now we have to make about half of our army focus down these Jade Lancers. One charge from these guys into a unit of Peasant Crossbows will probably destroy them, and so we're going to use the Mark of Yin to debuff them as much as possible. Very nice debuff from those Celestial Dragon Crossbows as well. Alright, and those flashy arrows keep on coming down. We don't want the enemy to escape, so we'll distract them with peasants, regardless of the fact that they're liable to take a few arrows themselves. Frankly, we're willing to sacrifice every single peasant in this army, with the exception of the non-peasant Celestial Dragon Crossbows. Otherwise, it's Jade Warriors versus peasants on the front line. We have a massive disadvantage, other than the fact that we have the better Lord and can continuously drop those Dragon's Breaths wherever we can best apply them. That said, we can see that the Jade Warriors are basically unharmed, and our Long Spears are routing. The balance of power, in fact, remains in the enemy's favor at about 55 to 45. Fortunately, where the enemy has only sent peasants, our own peasants should be able to hold them back for quite the while, and hopefully continue to allow our Jade Dragon, or Jade Dragons, everything's Jade something, our Celestial Dragon Crossbows to continue to fire. And currently they are firing at the units of enemy Jade Crossbows, though even then it's taking a while for them to be brought down. That 100 armor, it's quite a bit. I'm going to try to make our way to dish out as much damage as possible with our Shogungan Lord. Another Dragon's Breath, and what is this? Ooh, the enemy Jade Lancers have rallied and are starting to charge us once again. We don't have the Mark of Yin to destroy them, and ooh, it looks like they'll break just as they were about to reach our units. We even preemptively popped that Jade Shield on them in case they needed the massive missile resistance. Frankly, if we didn't have mana, this would have been very much not good. The balance of power has shifted in our favor, though only just slightly, perhaps 55, perhaps 60%. Not too big of a difference as yet. We are starting to lose the shootout, unfortunately, as the enemy's crossbows are just obliterating our peasants one by one. But at least the Celestial Dragon Crossbows are not only still fighting, but the edge of their formation is even distracting some enemy units of Jade Warriors, which is great because it's causing them to blob up a little bit and thus take another Dragon's Breath. Two of them. We will position some more of our peasants, both bow and spear, though the bows are routing, to try to block off any of the enemy Jade Warriors should they attempt to charge us, and pretty much all of our peasants are attempting to waver or shatter or rout. Ooh, this is definitely going to be close. Some of our units are rallying, but frankly the same can be said of theirs, and if nothing else, it looks like the Jade Warrior Crossbows are starting to run out of ammunition. 108 kills and 18k damage. We can see that this unit of Jade Warrior Crossbows has basically solo killed a unit of Peasant Archers or something else. We are also having to use our Lord Magistrate in melee just to try to kill off and block as many of the enemy Jade Warriors as he can. Admittedly, the Magistrate is fragile, but the good thing about the regular Jade Warriors is that they don't do crazy melee damage, and I think that they have relatively low armor piercing themselves. 11, still decent enough, and they will bring down our Lord eventually. But as long as they're distracted by him, it's more time that our Celestial Dragon Crossbows can fire at the enemy crossbows. Would really love to shatter them, the Peasant Archers, the crossbows, whatever, though our Dragon-Blooded Shogungan has been distracting one of the units of crossbows this entire time and preventing them from firing. Would have been nice if that attack didn't miss. Come on now. I'd wager the Shogungan Lord is also exhausted, so she's probably quite a bit slower. Oh, there we go. Very nice, very nice. A disturbing way to die, but entertaining for us. You gotta love the Shogungan Lords. We're definitely gonna keep at least one of them on foot rather than on the long mount, just so we can take advantage of that. Anyway, the balance of power is still hovering around maybe 60-65% in our favor. Our Lord Magistrate has routed and rallied, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our units are routing as well, about to be 6 or possibly 7, though a few of them might be able to rally. I also gotta say, this unit of Peasant Long Spears has been here for like 5 minutes. They have been fighting one-on-one versus the enemy, pretty even. Losing slightly, but they also did get charged by the enemy Jade Lancers at some moments, so there is that. We have been also forced to allow our Dragon Crossbows to fight in melee, though by virtue of the green nature, Jade nature of their armor, they are looking like Jade Warriors more than like Celestial Dragon Crossbows. Alright, and hopefully they can do enough damage in melee as they hold the Jade Warriors off, because we have no Peasant Long Spears remaining. And it's not like the archers will be able to do anything in melee here. Alright, the Dragon-Blooded Shogungan has by and large defeated that unit of Jade Warrior crossbows. The balance of power has shifted to about 70% in our favor, and damn, this is close, where it's down to a little skirmish of a battle. But our Shogungan is still in the fight, and so are our elite Celestial Dragons. And it looks like with that, the enemy Jade Warriors will shatter and break at last, and the battle just barely is ours. What a fantastic fight. I guess the fun aspect of taking peasants into the fight, I mean, it would be like taking laborers or Skaven slaves for Skaven or for Chaos Dwarfs, so it does make sense that we definitely had to work at it. But it does, I suppose, put into question the viability of having a lord to lead peasants particularly, other than perhaps as a follower lord of another army that might need a blob of peasants to block stuff off of them, but we'll see. Or possibly just to sit in some location and essentially have a free army. Anyway, Pyrrhic victory. A lovely fight. Definitely my favorite of this campaign so far. Hopefully the first of many. Ooh, you gotta admit, that was really down to the wire. Still a pretty darn cool debut for the Grace of Troyen Regiment of Renown. 37k damage, 340 kills, and, well, we wouldn't have been able to overcome the Jade Warriors with mere peasants if we didn't have those. Pretty darn solid. Really enjoyed that fight. Occupy. Though it is kind of making me question as to whether we should bother with a peasant army unless we put other things in it, because they are just so weak. Not armored enough. I suppose we could get them a little bit more armor via the drum if we should need it. And I take it, let me just see here, where are the peasants here? So sure aim does buff the peasants. Yeah, and frankly, minus 20% reduction on only 50 is also basically nothing. So maybe what I should have done is not bothered with this lord just by virtue of it. It should be like minus 50% or something, because they're basically like Skaven slaves in terms of how cheap they are. Ooh, Iron Curse icon. I think we can give that to Miao Ying, because she can take advantage of the missile resistance, especially in her dragon form, like so. Deepwood Branch will probably have to go to one of these guys, not this guy specifically, but one of these guys, because they'll be using ranged attacks. Now, I guess we will want to attack Shangyang as well. Nearly done wiping out enemy Cathayans. I would have loved to completely wipe them out by the end of this episode, by the end of the first episode. Maybe we can try to accomplish that. They only have this settlement and then one other after all. Fight battle.
The Storm Dragon will lead you to victory. This is my vow.
See, now that's a promise that you can keep, that you'll lead them to victory, and not so much every single one of them seeing their families again, unless that, Maybe she meant in the afterlife. But anyway, here we go. One more siege should be a lot easier compared to the fight we fought with the peasant army at the current time, though I did make one miscalculation. I didn't realize that the enemy had built a tier 4 tower, and I had either forgotten, or frankly, I didn't even know this, or it's been too long since I've seen the AI build them, but the tier 4 towers are of the fire rain rocket variety, and thus super dangerous to the rest of our army. We're going to back them off. We're going to immediately transform Miao Ying a little bit earlier than I would normally have liked, and send her directly for that tower. We need to bring it down, or the single tower will be able to destroy our entire army. Also got to remember that the towers are much more damaging in SFO, and actually hit all their shots due to all of them having their arcing, their shots arc over things. This will, however, be the debut of the Nan Gau Grenadiers. They look similar to the Iron Hail Gunners, but I do really love bomber units, so hopefully these guys will be pretty useful. In fact, they may be better out of Miao Ying's army and into... Wait, are they fire damage? They are fire damage. So they could work in a fire army, though a lot of our armies will probably be fire or fire-adjacent armies. And they could also work really well with magical damage, so anything that buffs missile damage to become ranged or magical damage. All right, we'll have to see about that. Certainly an interesting thought. Anyway, we're gonna speed this up a little bit as we advance towards the enemy. Miao Ying is going after the enemy tower, and there we go. We've arrived close enough, and I want to see the first volley of those grenadiers chucking their bombs, chucking some of their bombs over the parapet there. It's going to be barely any damage because that was like 1/10 of the grenades actually hitting the enemy. A lot more of the crossbows will hit. But that's all right. Once we break through the enemy walls, then we can get the grenadiers doing a little bit more work. We do still have to break through those walls, however, or simply climb over them. We're going to send 2 units of Jade Warriors up there, and should the enemy attempt to hold us off, we will, we'll blast them apart. Ooh, very, very nice hit from our Sky Junk, taking about half of the HP off of this running unit of Peasant Spears, though it is the Iron Hail Gunners here, which will be a little bit more concerning. Love watching that coral rain come over the walls as well, especially as we want as many of those Jade Warrior crossbows out as possible. I'm also now starting to think that Miao Ying is so point hungry, we may not be able to get buffs for Sky Junks or Sky Lanterns in her army, which is something of a concern. Oh, they also provide the Eye of the Dragon just like the Sky Lanterns do. Actually, I wish that it's, dude. What the heck was that? They were just climbing. They were minding their own business, and then they took all those fire rain rockets to their backs. Oh, man. Ouch. Well, either way, Miao Ying took severe damage while taking out those towers, shedding about 66, 2/3 of her HP, and we'll move her back to our army to heal them up, all the while buffing them with magical damage. The first of our Jade Warriors have arrived on top of the walls and are looking to dish out as much damage as possible up there. We're also going to drop the first of our bombs down on the enemy below from our Sky Junk, though it looks like the radius of the explosion is quite small, so not crazy useful there. Would be nice if Sky Junks had at least one bomb available to them. The Sky Lanterns. The Sky Lanterns have 3 uses of it. There should be a bigger bomb with a massive impact. And then the Sky Lanterns could be one bomb with one smaller bomb, maybe. Increase their usefulness even further. Anyway, it looks like we have taken the wall, which means we will be into the enemy settlement shortly. Unfortunately, I did try to tell the Sky Junk to attack this peasant archer unit, and it just refuses to do so. I don't know what the deal is, but sometimes even little objects like this will block units off, and they then refuse to do anything. Some of you that have been around for a while on this channel may remember Mazda Mundi getting stuck on Zlak on a tiny little elven pot on the ground. I was like this size, and Mazda Mundi towering over it, couldn't move. because he got stuck on it, which was amusing, but but also infuriating at the same time. Anyway, it looks like we finally found an angle for our Skyjunk to actually fire back at the enemy, but while doing so, it's taken about 30% of its HP and damage. It's not a construct, however, so the Lure of Life is available to heal it up, and it's not like the poor little peasant archers are a huge threat to it, as it does have pretty decent armor as well. Down by about 12 due to the tiredness. Not entirely sure how the tiredness takes armor off a Skyjunk, but it is what it is. Anyway, it looks like we have gotten off the walls now at last, and it looks like the enemy wants to punish us for it, sending in Jade Warriors, Jade Lancers, and Peasants alike to interfere. Now that said, they're distracting the wrong units, as we are just about ready to capture the gate here, by having our unit just on the edge of it. And as soon as it's captured, the rest of our units, including those grenadiers, can stream in and start punishing the enemy blobs of units instead. And just hold them off for a little bit longer. I do like the red and green color scheme of our Jade Warriors. I forgot what the color scheme of Jiao Ming is. I'll take another look at it. But the red and green will fit in very nicely with the Great Longma Riders and other such units. Anyway, peasant crossbows, or bows rather, continuing to fire away at our Jade Warriors, but just as we saw when our own peasants fought Jade Warriors, with the lack of armor piercing, they are very little to no threat, especially against the shielded variant. And just gotta hold the ground a little more as the gates will open shortly, and our units, led by Miao Ying herself, will start moving in. Why is Miao Ying not in dragon form? I think it's still on cooldown as she transformed, in order to heal herself after having destroyed those towers. Alright, I'm gonna head on in now, get a little bit of damage out via her mortal form, and hey. Yeah, unit's doing that thing where she's targeting a specific unit in the blob and not attacking everything around her, which, it happens on occasion. At the end of the day, once the transformation is available again, she'd just be able to obliterate these guys, and with a little bit of help from the bomb from the Skyjunk up above, which is nice as well. Nan Gau Grenadiers heading in as well. Missile strength is at 71, which is pretty darn decent. Let's see how well they do at firing at the first unit of peasant archers here. Moving forward, what's your speed at? 40, pretty solid. And a few of them, no shields on you. And the grenades will fly. And there we go. One volley from one unit takes off about, let's say, half of the HP. I think these guys were already down to half HP, but pretty solid. If you can get them into position. 4.4k damage and 32 kills with a single volley. Very nice. That said, at the same time, I gotta remember that those were peasants, and so they were unarmored and not the biggest of threats, admittedly. And I am curious, or do wonder, how much damage it would be if it was the Jade Warriors instead. Miao Ying is still in the fight and now ready to heal up both the Skyjunk and herself and the Jade Warriors that were fighting. Gotta love that Earthblood. While we move out the Nan Gau Grenadiers to try to hit a few more units all the way back there. It does look like we are going to have to work for this siege, however, as the enemy is showing no signs of backing down and still has plenty of enemy units in reserve. Another volley into the backs of those poor peasant archers. And I do mean poor twice, as in literally poor, and then poor as in unfortunate. Haha, because they're peasants. And we wanted to get another volley in, but unfortunately the enemy will finally commit those peasant horses, knocking down our alchemist. But charging in to attack the Nan Gau Grenadiers. Fortunately, the Grenadiers do have the Heaven's Flash ability, which is a minus 25 melee attack and defense for 30 seconds. It's actually quite solid. Thinking of these units as a potential support unit for a ranged army would also be pretty nice, I think, because if enemy units do manage to charge in like they do here, they're not able to do too much in the way of damage. We can see that these guys did shed about 30... Okay, well, some of the HP loss was probably from our own Skyjunk as well. They are unfortunately trapped here, but we do have the Jade Warriors who have just arrived, and we do still have the Alchemist to lead them. And I'm sure we'll be able to knock out all those all those horses in due time. Plus, we can just keep dropping that debuff on them. Okay, granted, we only have it twice, but it still prevents them from doing all that much. Oh, lovely. Just a little bit more work and these peasant horsemen will be down and the battle will definitely start turning in our favor. Another bomb drop comes in, the third and last bomb drop from our sky junk. But about time, and then the fire rain rockets will follow up to dish out about 30% damage to this unit of peasant archers. Nice. And looks like the horses are out to bounce powers at about 80-85% in our favor. The grenadiers will be free to move once more. Miao Ying has transformed into dragon form once more as well, and we'll probably have to knock down that sky lantern. More fire rain rockets coming down from the sky junk, which looks really immobile and once again like a huge target up there, but well, the enemy has not enough things to punish us for it. The big danger with these always flying units is if you come up against something like Doom Knights or like a flying unit that's really not that easy to kill, and these guys can't escape. But I suppose at least in the armies of the Dragon Children we can always take dragon form and see the enemy off. Anyway, here come the Grenadiers. Looks like the unit of Peasant Archers was pretty much destroyed by the Sky Junk, but that's no big deal as there is another unit right behind them, some Iron Hail Gunners, which we'll be looking to either build or evolve or upgrade ourselves shortly. And here comes another grenade volley. Very, very nice. Almost surprising that there wasn't a grenade unit for Cathay earlier. And I mean, they're decent, but they're a basic bomber unit similar to the bombers available to the Vampire Coast. Not like they're going to be anything crazy OP like the grenade launcher Outriders that the Empire have, which are kind of insane, and which actually reminds me, if we can get a few Empire units in an army with a bunch of bombers, we could get 4 Outriders with grenades and do some grenade action. Anyway, time for Miao Ying to finally hunt down that darn Sky Lantern set. And yeah, it is the same Eye of the Dragon buff. But we can't have these guys firing. And ooh, a unit of peasant horses has rallied and will charge those grenades, but that does look like a big enough volley, I think, to immediately shatter them. So that works out reasonably well for us. By the looks of it, the battle is just about ours, so I'm just going to speed it up a teensy bit as we find whatever last units remain on field. Oh! This Lord Magistrate, rather than charging forward, is attempting to back up, but is taking damage as well. Nice Searing Doom will break the platform of the Jade Warrior crossbows over, well, up here. And, oh, a nice volley into Miao Ying from those Iron Hail Gunners, taking, oh man, she was basically healed, damn it. All that earth blooding for nothing. Alright, well, we'll knock out these ones instead while we focus down whatever other units we can find. Still some Jade Warrior crossbows running around. Certainly the AI is making us work for this siege. I don't deny it. And those units just, oh, they fell from the sky. I was like, what the heck? It was one of the Sky Lanterns, which got hit by range units. I got confused because Miao Ying was sent to deal with Iron Hail Gunners, and then the Sky Lanterns were thus not being focused by her. Anyway, last of the Sky Lanterns goes down. We still are getting hit by the Iron Hail units here. We'll remain on this platform, but we're going to move those Nan Gau Grenadiers in and get ready to get a volley into them. 1 or 2 should be able to decimate them and prevent them from firing anymore, but it looks like they are well aware of that and will instead start running away. In fact, shattering, as with that the last of the enemy units is done for, and the battle is ours, and the Dissenter Lords of Jin Shen's strength is broken. I don't imagine we'll be fighting a full stack of theirs anymore. And what the heck, why is the battle not ending? Oh, there is the Lord Magistrate. We just need to get proximity, so we'll move in this unit of Grenadiers. Check a few grenades at his face. Well, dish out a decent 10% damage. And he's going to run out of that fire and fear, and thus the battle will end. Alright, there we go. Fun little fight. We got to try out the Nan Gau Grenadiers, which damage-wise kept about on pace with some of the units of range. I mean, they're typical bomber units, high alpha damage, but specifically against blobby basic infantry, as in low armored basic infantry. And yeah, I'll be interested to see what upgrades they are able to get throughout the course of the campaign and what heights they can be taken to. Otherwise, Xiangyang is a great pickup for us. And Swordmaster, upkeep reduction for Jade Warriors and Jade Warriors with Halberds. And that's a really nice pickup. That's, I'm particularly happy about that one. Ooh, hello, City Administrator for this guy, which was the guy that was supposed to have it. Alright, good for you, sir. You can go back this way then and then continue administrating. Though you do not need that Warhorse, or at the very least I'm certainly not paying an extra 50 gold or whatever it is for it. Grab that Inspiring Recruitment, and then head back to Nanli or wherever we are liable to be building our next building. Jade Dragon's Edict is fine. We could collect a little bit of cash, but I think once again our growth is relatively small right now, so probably a waste of our time. Let's delete the garbage buildings that we have here, as we've no need for them. At least not in this territory, because, well, I mean, yeah. Money-wise, it's just not worth it right now. You can channel, I guess, Miao Ying. You have to stay in Xiangyang, because otherwise you'll suffer attrition, but that's alright. I assume these guys won't have another full stack running around here. I don't think they do. If they do, the issue is this guy could besiege Xiangyang and then another army could attack us there, in theory, but doesn't look like it. Anyway, I believe we're ready to end the turn. I just really want to wipe these guys out for good. And before the end of the episode, but, well, we've achieved most of what we wanted to achieve here. And hey, there's Zhao Ming. Hopefully he isn't able to reach Taitsu before we can, because that would be annoying. Please just occupy Shenwu. I assume he's going after these guys. Okay, you've returned to Taitsu. Just gotta make sure that we can move all that away. And then next episode will be our the starting fights against the Skaven and possibly the Beastmen as well. I'm still very concerned about wherever that Beastmen army is, and could very well start raiding us shortly as well. Confederation again for Goldtooth. Got to get that alliance going with him. Construct 3 Harmony buildings. Mission successful, so that's 3,000 much needed gold. Empress Chroman, Onyx Chroman available, and we'll certainly be getting some Onyx Chroman up and running shortly as well. How far can you move? In camp stance. Ooh, not as far as I'd like. But I think there's no way that he can reach it in one turn, right? You go here. And then you go right to the edge of this territory, or the edge of her range. I'm hoping that Miao Ying can then go into March stance and then reach it. And that's the plan anyway. Ooh, we got levels as well. We should probably start saving points now. We have Life Bloom. Well, you know what, let's max out... do we max out her casting? You know what, let's max out her casting. Power of Yin and Earthblood, or at least the stuff that we're going to be constantly using. And then we will save the rest of the points for the various things that we want here. Construction costs, minus 50% for Great Bastion buildings. All provinces should be swell. Master of Storms, upgraded Earthblood. Yes, please. Arrange missile troops. Yeah, she got a lot of good stuff in her unique line. In fact, it looks like Miao Ying is extraordinarily point hungry, meaning we will have to completely avoid the blue line. But that's fine. Definitely worth it. You can increase mobility a little bit further, and then you've leveled up a little bit. Let's get you Route Marcher. And just for now, you'll be commanding your own Jadeite army shortly. Don't collect the income here, at the very least don't bother for now. Let's get those spices up and running, and to reduce construction costs, I guess we're once again going to go for this building. Tariffs and construction costs. I mean, I guess we could do the same thing via the... No, wait, this is the wrong type. And it's only 1%. Yeah, alright. We want yin, unless I'm mistaken. Yes, we want yin, and now we have 2. I wonder how many we need to get the next effect. Does it say anywhere? Doesn't say. So 2 is the same effect as 1, meaning there isn't any need unless we get a 3rd building and that does it for us. I guess we'll have to find out. These are all +1 harmony as well. Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. You... Do we follow Miao Ying? I'm a little bit worried about those beastmen, but I do also want to transfer the Grace of Chui Yin to her. Well, the end of the attrition is here, so we can move right to there, while you return to Nanli, I guess. I guess we could keep building this. Frankly, we don't really need to upgrade this right now. I'm more inclined to say the economy of this particular territory is probably going to be a little bit more valuable to us. At least in the early game. And I'd like to be able to actually start using this territory shortly. Well, you know what? We still do want this at tier 3 here, especially to unlock the Gate Master, so we'll move here. Near it. We'll build whatever it is we want to build. And frankly, we should probably just be jumping around between these 3 territories. Let's get the Shrine of Yin, I guess, for the recruitment for the peasants. We will still be getting peasants and the dormitory. And I believe that's it. Skip ban and the turn, and we should be able to wipe out Taitsu. I didn't check diplomacy, but we're very much super out of time already, and I just wanted to make sure we finish up with these guys. Alright, hey Jiaming, how you doing? Did he occupy it, or did he avoided it? It would complete... What the heck is the AI doing? It would complete his province, and he didn't take it. His one and only first province. But I guess he really wants to wipe these guys out, but it's still kind of bizarre behavior from the AI. Not surprising, but also not great. Alright, what do we have here? Add a unit of Dragon Slayers? Yes? Please. As the caravan comes to a halt for the night, a stranger wanders into the ad hoc camp. Stopped by the guards, he begs an audience with the caravan master. His offer is to join the retinue for no pay. There is safety in numbers, but he will help protect the caravan. I don't think the Dragon Slayer cares that much about the safety, but yeah. And what do we have here? The Box of Delights. A wild-eyed alchemist proudly presents you with an ornate chest, which seems to vacillate in and out of corporeality. He declares that it contains purest magic, distilled from several tons of warpstone and purged of all corruption. That's not possible. His experiment, alas, is unrepeatable, so this boon must be used wisely. Construction cost massive increase, but bonus control, or loss of income at the cost of corruption, or growth at the cost of construction. It's not a lot of growth. We're currently building yin buildings, so maybe we do the control for the yang stuff. Let's do this. Inhale the contents yourself. Are we Jiao Ming? Breathe deep of the strange vapors within, and you shall be infused with the winds themselves. As the harmonious power of yin pulses through your veins, none will even dream of questioning you. Alright, and income from industry, yang buildings, and go figure. Growth up and running, and then we're going to the right of yang next. We really need that research bonus, but we'll deal. Now, oh, you can reach it yourself anyway. Fantastic. You go here, and you might be able to reinforce and transfer units, which is nice as well. So we'll go here, and I think with all of our armies together, we won't need to fight this in the sense that we can just auto-resolve, so you're going to move in regular stance right there. And we'll wipe these eyes out for good. Can you go into regular stance? No. Alright, march stance it is. Like so. And these territories are independent. Oh! I did not realize the bastion had been breached. Okay, we need to immediately... That's why I should have looked up here. You ready to confederate yet? No. How do we get you to confederate? Well, hopefully village and stuff will be busy, but hey, this is, this will mean a nice triumphant return to deal with the Bastion stuff. Next episode should be pretty fun. We'll resolve this. I'm sure we'll take damage, but probably not enough for us to be concerned with. And occupy destroying the center lords of Jinshen and keeping Mr. Jiao Ming safe for the next little while, giving us a little bit of extra money as well. And we will immediately go for... I'm gonna say Fire Dragon's Edict, because we'll still be able to move through this territory for a turn, and we'll want to rapidly move up here. Frankly, we may even want to leave the Skaven alone. As bad of an idea as that sounds, we don't want them to, get ideas. Alright, we actually have to keep the Wuxing Compass pointed at the Great Bastion right now. Definitely need the defensive supplies, the casualty replenishment, the recruitment cost, the Ancestral Warriors. Can't be using this instead, so yeah. At the cost of a little bit of control, but it's alright. worth our time. Anyway, folks, with that, we are out of time. Fun first episode, tons of battles for Miao Ying, and we've destroyed all enemy Cathayans, which means we will never be fighting our own again, and we'll move on to fighting Chaos and possibly the Rats, depending on how our armies are looking at the start of next episode, which should be pretty fun. Probably we'll have to set up in the Great Bastion as well. And hopefully we'll reach rank 12 to reduce the costs of doing so. Anyway, pretty fun first step. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.